What if you could have a fire drill before your house actually burned down? A real alarm that gives you a final chance to find and fix the problem before a true catastrophe strikes. When it comes to your brain health, that fire drill exists. It's called a mini stroke. And every year, millions of seniors hear this life-saving alarm and tragically, they ignore it. Today, we are going to teach you how to hear that alarm, understand what it means, and take the necessary action to protect your future. To guide us, we are joined by the respected Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara. Doctor, thank you for being here to discuss this critical topic.
Thank you for having me, Ben. This is one of the most important subjects we can discuss. People hear the word mini in mini stroke, and they think it is a minor problem. This is a very dangerous mistake. A mini stroke, or TIA, is not minor. It is a major stroke that your body, by some grace, managed to stop. The blockage was temporary. The symptoms went away. That is not luck. That is a gift. It is a second chance from your body that is saying with great urgency, there is a serious problem with the blood flow to your brain. Please fix it now, before it is too late.
A gift of a warning, that's a powerful way to look at it. And that's our mission today, to help you understand that gift. We've structured this video as a complete guide in 3 acts. In Act 1, we'll explain exactly what a TIA is and why it's different from a major stroke. In Act 2, we will walk you through the 8 specific warning signs you must learn to recognize. And in Act 3, we'll give you the most important part, the complete action plan for what to do next to prevent the real disaster from ever happening. If you want to understand these critical warnings to be a good steward of your health, for yourself or for someone you love, please type the number 1 in the comments below. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It's completely free, and the information you learned today could truly save a life. Okay, doctor, let's begin Act 2 of our guide. Recognizing the 8 critical signs of a TIA. This is so important because, as you said, these symptoms are temporary, which gives people an excuse to ignore them. Let's start with some of the most common signs people experience.
Yes. The first signs are often a sudden problem with the body's sense of balance and feeling. This covers the first 2 signs on our list: sudden dizziness, or loss of balance, and sudden numbness, or weakness, usually on just one side of the body. A person may experience one or both at the same time.
And let's be very clear about what this feels like. The dizziness isn't just feeling a little lightheaded. It's a powerful feeling that the room is spinning or the ground is tilting. The weakness isn't just feeling tired. It's a specific arm or leg that suddenly feels heavy, like it's not yours. The simple reason for this is that the part of your brain that controls balance, the cerebellum, or the part that controls movement and sensation, was briefly starved of blood and oxygen. The blockage cut off the power for a moment.
That is a perfect description. I think of a patient of mine, Mr. Chen, a 73-year-old man who took great pride in his garden. He was standing up from weeding his roses when 2 things happened at once. First, his left arm went completely numb, from his shoulder to his fingertips. He said it felt like an arm made of television static. At the same moment, the world seemed to tilt sharply to one side. He had to drop to his knees to keep from falling. The entire episode lasted for maybe 2 minutes. Then the feeling came back to his arm, and the world was stable again. He was so relieved that it was over. His first thought was, I'm just getting old. I stood up too fast. He almost didn't tell his wife. Thankfully, he did, and she recognized it was something serious. That was his one warning.
It's truly a blessing that he told her. That was the fire drill we talked about. Ignoring that alarm could have been a devastating mistake. Now, what about the next group of signs, doctor? The ones that affect our ability to communicate and see the world?
Yes, this covers our next two signs: sudden trouble with your vision and sudden difficulty speaking. These are very frightening because they disconnect us from the world around us.
Let's break them down. With vision, this can show up as sudden blurry vision, seeing double, or even a temporary loss of vision in one eye, sometimes described as a dark curtain falling. Again, the key word is sudden. With speech, there are two main ways this can happen. The first is what doctors call dysarthria. This is when you know exactly what word you want to say, but your tongue and lips won't cooperate to form the word clearly. Your speech comes out slurred or jumbled. The second is called aphasia. This is when you can't find the right word. You might try to say, "I need a glass of water," but what comes out is nonsense, even though the thought is perfectly clear in your mind. Both are medical emergencies.
This reminds me of a patient, Mrs. Gloria, who was 72. She was on a weekly phone call with her daughter, who lived in another state. They were laughing and having a normal conversation. In the middle of a sentence, Mrs. Gloria suddenly started saying words that made no sense. It was just jumbled sounds. Her daughter was confused and asked, "Mom, what are you saying? I don't understand." Mrs. Gloria became frustrated on the other end because in her own mind she was speaking perfectly. The episode lasted less than a minute, and then her speech was normal again. Her first instinct was to laugh it off and say, "Oh, I must have had a brain freeze." But her daughter was very wise. She said, "Mom, that was not normal. I am calling for help for you right now." That daughter's clear thinking and refusal to ignore the warning very likely saved her mother from a major disabling stroke that could have happened days later.
These stories are so powerful, and they really show how important it is to have an aware and caring community around us. Our channel's community is also very important to us. So we can see where our message of health is reaching. Please let us know what city, state, or country you are watching from. It is truly a blessing to connect with all of you from around the world. Doctor, the signs we've just discussed, weakness, vision problems, and speech difficulties, are often things that a family member or a friend might notice from the outside. But the next group of signs can be more internal, more confusing, and very frightening for the person who is experiencing them. Let's talk about the cognitive signs of a TIA.
Yes, this is when the mind itself suddenly feels like it is lost in a thick fog. This brings us to our next two signs: sudden, unexplained confusion and a sudden inability to concentrate.
And what does that look like in real life? From a clinical perspective, when the parts of your brain responsible for your thinking and focus, the frontal lobes, are briefly deprived of blood and oxygen, it's like a computer's power supply flickering. The screen might not go completely black, but all the programs freeze. You suddenly can't follow a conversation, you can't complete a simple thought, or you might even forget where you are for a moment.
It is a very disorienting feeling. I had a patient describe it to me perfectly. He was sitting in his favorite armchair in his own living room, a room he had sat in every day for 40 years. Suddenly, for about 1 minute, he did not recognize it. He told me he knew he should know where he was, but the connection in his brain was simply gone. He felt a wave of deep panic, and then, just as suddenly as it came, the feeling passed and the room was familiar again. That is the kind of profound confusion we are talking about. It is not the simple forgetfulness of misplacing your keys.
That is a chilling and very clear example. Now for a sign that is not subtle at all. It is loud and impossible to ignore. Sign number 7, a sudden, severe headache.
This is not a whisper from the body. This is a scream.
Exactly. And I want to be very clear for everyone watching. We are not talking about a typical tension headache or a migraine that slowly builds. This is often called a thunderclap headache. It is a headache that explodes in your head with maximum intensity in under a minute. Many patients describe it as, without question, the worst headache of my life. While this is more common with a bleeding or hemorrhagic stroke, it can sometimes happen with a TIA and must always be treated as a top-level medical emergency.
This is not a time to be brave. This is not a time to take a pain pill and go lie down. Pain of this level is your brain sending an unmistakable signal of extreme distress. You must listen to it by calling for help immediately. There is no other safe or wise option.
And that brings us to our final sign on the list, doctor. What about actually losing consciousness or fainting?
Yes, this can happen. The medical term is syncope. It is a temporary and usually brief loss of consciousness that happens when there is a sudden drop in blood flow to the entire brain. The person may fall, but they typically wake up within a minute or so.
And it's so important that this is never dismissed as just a fainting spell in an older adult. If a person over 60 faints for no obvious reason, for example, they weren't overheated or they didn't stand up too fast, it must be investigated by a doctor right away. It could be a sign of a heart rhythm problem, or it could be a sign of a TIA, where a major blood vessel to the brain was briefly blocked. In either case, it needs an urgent medical evaluation to find the cause. The body has an incredible God-given ability to keep us functioning every second of the day. When it suddenly fails like that, even for just a moment, it's a serious sign that we have a duty to pay attention to. Doctor, we now know the 8 critical signs of a TIA. This brings us to the most important part of our entire discussion. Act 3, the action plan. So when a person experiences one of these signs, even if it only lasts for a minute and then goes away, what is the first, immediate, and only correct step?
There is only one first step, Ben. There is no room for debate. You must get medical help immediately. Time is the most precious resource you have in this situation. Do not wait. Do not lie down. Do not see how you feel in an hour. You must act.
That is the absolute key message. And to make it easy to remember what to look for and what to do, health organizations around the world have adopted a simple acronym, F.A.S.T. F is for face. Ask the person to smile. Does one side of their face droop? A is for arms. Ask the person to raise both of their arms. Does one arm drift downward? S is for speech. Ask them to repeat a simple sentence like, "The sky is blue." Is their speech slurred or strange? T is for time. If you see any one of these signs, it is time to call 911 immediately. The American Stroke Association is very clear on this. You must treat a TIA with the same urgency as a major stroke, because at home you have no way of knowing which one it is. That T for time is your call to action.
Calling for help is the immediate action for survival. But the long-term work, the work of prevention, begins after you leave the hospital. A TIA is a second chance. Honoring that gift requires a dedicated plan to fix the underlying problems.
Exactly. And that long-term plan starts with working with your doctors to find out why the TIA happened. This isn't random. Your doctor will likely recommend several diagnostic tests. An MRI or CT scan of the brain can show the area that was affected. A carotid ultrasound is a simple, painless test that uses sound waves to check for plaque buildup in the main arteries in your neck, which is a very common cause of TIA. They may also order an echocardiogram to check your heart for any issues, like an irregular heartbeat that might be forming clots. The goal, as recommended by the American Academy of Neurology, is to identify the root cause so you can treat it directly and prevent something much worse from happening.
Once you and your doctor know the cause, the work of prevention truly begins. You must work diligently to control the conditions that allowed the blockage to happen. I focus on the big three with my patients: your blood pressure, your blood cholesterol, and your blood sugar.
And the medical evidence on these three is overwhelming. Let's start with blood pressure. Data from the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, shows that controlling high blood pressure is the single most effective thing anyone can do to prevent a future stroke. For most people over 60, the target is to keep your blood pressure consistently below 130/80. Next is cholesterol. High levels of LDL, or what we call bad cholesterol, directly contribute to the buildup of plaque inside your arteries. A landmark study published in the medical journal The Lancet followed thousands of patients who had experienced a TIA or stroke. It showed without a doubt that lowering LDL cholesterol through diet, exercise, and medication when necessary significantly reduced the risk of a second, more severe event. And finally, blood sugar. As we've discussed before, high blood sugar acts like sandpaper on the inside of your arteries, damaging them. The American Diabetes Association has extensive guidelines confirming that strict blood sugar control is crucial for preventing all cardiovascular events, including strokes.
And controlling these big three numbers does not always require extreme measures. It begins with the simple, daily wisdom of lifestyle. It means returning to the foundational habits we have discussed before: gentle daily walking, managing stress with quiet breathing, and, of course, avoiding things that actively harm the blood vessels, like smoking and excess alcohol.
It really shows how all these things are connected. The daily choices we make matter so much. How we move our bodies, how we manage our thoughts, how we fuel ourselves. It's all part of being a good steward of the health we've been given. It is our responsibility and our privilege to care for it. We have covered a lot of very serious information today, but the final message we want to leave you with is one of hope and empowerment. The most important takeaway is this: a mini stroke is not a minor event, it is a major warning sign. Recognizing the symptoms and taking immediate, decisive action is crucial for your long-term brain health. By working closely with your doctor to find the root cause and actively manage your risk factors, you can dramatically reduce your chances of ever having a major, disabling stroke. This proactive approach, focusing on prevention after you've received a warning, is the most powerful strategy there is for protecting your brain health. Remember, knowledge is power. Knowing the signs means you can act fast, and acting fast is what saves brain tissue during a stroke. All the lifestyle steps we discussed are powerful investments in your future, ensuring your independence and your continued brain health for many years to come.
Please do not be afraid of this knowledge. Be empowered by it. If your body sends you this important warning, do not see it as a failure or a punishment. See it for what it is: a gift. It is a precious second chance. It is an opportunity to make changes, to care for your body, and to protect the life you have been given. Accept this gift with gratitude and, most importantly, with immediate and purposeful action.
That is the perfect way to conclude, Doctor, with empowerment and action. And as always, the most important action is to work in partnership with your trusted medical team. Please remember, this video is here to educate you and help you ask better questions. It is not a substitute for the direct medical advice and care from your own personal physician. We are so thankful for our community and the time you spent with us today. If you found this guide valuable, please give this video a like to help other people find it, and be sure to share it with family and friends. This knowledge could save a life. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. It's completely free, and it ensures you'll be with us for more important health conversations. And for our community discussion today, what is the one thing you learned about mini strokes today that surprised you the most? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Be well and be attentive.